Hiya folks, we're going to be doing an engine service on this Vauxhall Astra 1.8 engine, and that includes the oil filter, the air filter, changing the oil, changing the spark plugs as well. Now I've also done some other bits in different videos. I'll leave in the cards up here for you if you want to check them out. That includes the pollen filter and also the fuel filter, which I'm going to be doing in another video. Anyway, let's get on with this. I'll see you in a minute. Right, okay folks, well I've got to do a service on this engine now, so let's get the engine all drained out and let's start the service. Right, so we're coming under the front of the car now, and I'll put a container underneath the drain plug there. The drain down point is here. This is a T45, so I've got my T45 in here, and let's undo this. These can be tight, so I'm going to get a breaker bar. Alright, got the breaker bar, so let's try again. Make sure that the seat in there good, otherwise you could have problems. There we go. See, just a little bit more lever. And now, hopefully, put that underneath there, and we'll catch the oil. Now, you'll hear a lot of people say that you want to warm the car up first before you drain the oil. There's two schools of thought on that. One is that, yeah, the oil will be thinner when it comes out. And the other school of thought is that you're throwing all the oil around the engine, that'll take a while to drain back. Or the second train of thought, which I tend to follow, is the last time this engine ran, it was hot, so all the oil has drained back into the sump. So although the oil's thicker, the oil is only contained within the sump and with minimal amount around the engine. So all I need to do is to drain the oil out of the sump rather than warming it up, throwing all the warm oil around the engine. And that to me is the most logical way. So you can do what you want. You ready? There we go. So there's our engine oil coming out there. I'll let that drain out now underneath here when we'll go upstairs, and we'll get the oil filter out now. This is the drain plug, and good to see that there's no metal filings or anything stuck around it. And there is a rubber washer on here. Some of these have a fibre washer, some have a copper washer, some have a rubber ring. So this one's sealing with a rubber ring. If you have got any seepage coming from your drain plug, then you can change that rubber ring in there. Mine wasn't leaking, so I'm going to leave mine as it is. So that's that. Apparently there's two types of oil filter for this that come up with my registration number. The first type was the element type, which is the one without a casing on. I bought that one initially, but I had to take that one back, and I've actually been back now just to get this one changed, because this one on here is the canister type. So that's the type we'll be putting on. And to take the old one off, you can either do it hand tight. They're normally too tight, so you may need some sort of extraction tool. I've got an oil filter chain there, so I'll just wrap that around the oil filter and then crank it off that way. So I'm going to do that now. So the location of the oil filter, I don't know whether you can see it or not, it's actually down there under the exhaust there. Now you may or may not be able to get it from here, but it may be better to come from underneath to get it. So I'm going to probably try and do it from underneath the car to undo. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm just giving it a turn. As you can see, I've loosened it off, so I can take that out of the way now. And what I will do is to undo this now from above, because we're going to get oil drip out from below. And I've also moved the oil bucket underneath so that it catches any drips that go there. So as you can see, we're nearly finished dropping the oil out now, and I'll then put that sump plug back in. Right, so hand in the top now, that is now loose, so I should be able to unscrew that, and then the oil will drop onto our little container below. When you do unscrew it, you bring it out the top, tip it backwards. I'll show you in a second. Let me get it out first. Tip it so that you're bringing it out upwards, because it's still full of oil, you see. So let's get that out. You just want to get a bit of clean cloth around there and just clean your sealing ring area. Make sure there's no debris that's in there. I know you can't see this all that well, but that's what I'm doing right now. And then I'll get my new filter. Got this rubber sealing ring on there, and you just want to put a bit of oil on that sealing ring, not to help it seal, but when you tighten this in against the metal surface, because if it's dry, it will chafe and it could pull the ring out. And not only that, you may not be able to tighten it up fully by hand. So that's why we lubricate that. It's not to make a better seal, it's to make it more slippery so that you can tighten it up a lot better. So again, just a smear around there, just to lubricate it. You don't need a lot. Now, some people say that you should fill the oil filter up. In other words, pre-fill it before you put it on. That's all right if you're filling an oil filter up from when you fit it up and screw it up from below like that. But obviously this is fitted onto the side. If you fill that with oil now, when you put that on like that and try and put it on, it's going to pour out everywhere. So that's not the idea to do that. All you have to do basically is when you do start your car up from cold, because this is going to be empty, it will build up enough pressure quickly and fill this up, and before you know it, provided you don't go revving the nuts off of it sort of thing, it'll be okay. So I'm going to put this back on now. So just feed it in through there. You could probably get easier access to this underneath actually, because it's a little bit awkward with this heat shield there. So in fact I'm going to do that. I'm going to go underneath, you wait there, and you can definitely see it a lot easier from below. So I'm going to screw that back on. I don't know whether you can see me or not, but I'm below. Right, and I've done that with a firm hand grip. So I'm going to put our sump plug back in and also wipe around the sump plug so it's a nice clean mating surface. Again, don't lean on that too much. It's only a little plug at the end of the day. Wipe all around it. Right, okay then, time to fill the oil up. We take 4.25 litres in here, and I've got 10W40 grade oil. So we're going to whack that in. It's on level surface, by the way, although I've got a jack underneath the car and I've got a wheel off at the moment. I've actually lowered the jack so it's on a level surface, so that's what's happening there. So this is a 5 litre container. So I'm going to probably put in 4 litres at first, and then we'll take a dipstick measure. So let's get that sorted. And also, if you tip the oil in this way, you'll get the glug in, as you can see there, look. If you turn the bottle halfway round and then turn it that way, it doesn't glug. So if you haven't got a funnel, this is the way you want to be pouring oil in. Right, there we go. I've put about 4 litres in there at the moment. So the difference between the low level on the dipstick and the high level is a litre. So just to give you an indication of where you may or may not be on the dipstick, to give you an idea of how much oil you're low. So I mean, when we come to start the car up, we do know that the oil filter is going to be empty, so that's going to need to be filled up, although that's not a really lot that's in there. But we will start the engine up, let it tick over for a minute, and then get it all circulating around, and then we will take another reading again and probably top it up as well. So right, that's the oil filter done and the oil change. Right, next job on our list is to tackle the air filter, which lives under here, and all you've got is 4 clips around the outside of the box. Just ping off like that, and then the top cover should just lift off. There we go, and that doesn't look too bad, to be honest with you. There we go. So it looks like it's had a service pretty recently, but we will put the new one on anyway. And that will just drop in exactly the same way, but you first will want to try and get rid of any debris that's in there. Just get rid of all that old stuff. That's it. That's Gary going out on his FZR 600. So let's just plonk that on there like that. Make sure it seats correctly around the edges. And then put that in position. There we go. That just dropped on nicely. Pop your clips back on. There we go, it's 2, 3 and 4, and that's the air filter done. He's off out on the bike. Little summer ride out. Can probably hear the cam chain rattling a little bit on that. Something we're going to be tackling on that on his channel, Project Man channel. So if you're interested in that, keep your eyes out for that one. There we go, that's Project Man getting on that. So don't forget, if you want to see any of these videos, pop over to Project Man's channel. Right folks, time to get on with the plug change. Right, so to get to the spark plugs, we've got to take this cover off, the top cover, and this is a T30, two T30 screws, so we just undo these. Like that. You have to remove the oil filler cap, then lift this off out of the way, and don't forget to replace your oil filler cap because you don't want to be dropping anything down there. Right, then we've got the coil pack, and the coil pack lives under here, so before we can get to the plugs which sit underneath the coil pack, we've got to undo these E-bolts there. I think they're E10s, are they? Yeah, they're E10s. So you undo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them E10s, and I'll come back to you. There we go. We've also got the connector at the top there, so that you normally have to press in. But normally with old clips, you normally have to give it a bit of encouragement on the back side as well, because they don't normally press in like they used to. So while you're pushing down, just lift up the back of it with a flat-headed screwdriver, and you should be able to wiggle it off like that. Right, okay, so we should be able to now lift the coil pack out of the way. It might be a little bit stiff, so just be prepared for a little bit of suction. There we go. And there we go. You want to make sure all your ends are dry to make sure that your plugs haven't been leaking. And also take a look down your plug holes as well, just to make sure there's no debris in there, because when you remove your plug, if there's any grit that's been sitting in there, you're going to drop that straight into your cylinder and also ruin your engine. These are nice and clean, so I'm going to proceed to take the plugs out. Right, okay. Let's get these undone. They shouldn't be that tight, but just be careful. And always try and do these on a cold engine when you're changing your plugs, because a hot engine, very, very easy to strip an aluminium cylinder head if you're doing it on a hot engine. So if you're going to be changing your plugs, make sure you change your plugs on a cold engine. Now my socket hasn't got a rubber bung in the end of it, which is a bit of a nuisance. That means I can struggle to get the blinking spark plugs out. So, two ways to do it. One with a pair of long nose pliers, which you can grab down there and lift your spark plug out. Or if you've got one of those little magnetic rods like that, for example, you can just put that in there and that will also lift your spark plug out as well. Now this thing looks like it's running in a nice colour. So I'm happy with the mixture on this, because don't forget we have got a running issue with this, which I'm going to be sorting out in a different video. It's very woolly in that, so I'm happy that the mixture's pretty much okay. So I'm going to put the new plugs in anyway. And these plugs are an NGK plug, and it's a BKR5EK plug, which I'm putting in here. And there we go. And when you're tightening your spark plugs in, especially into an aluminium engine, they should go in nice and easy by hand up until you reach the compressor washer on the bottom of the spark plug. So if they're tight, you don't want to be pushing that and trying to cut new threads in it. Just make sure that it's going in nice and easy by hand if you can. Right, now that's gone tight now. And what you've got on here, just at the bottom of the plug there, can you see that little washer there? That is a compression washer, so you have to compress that and then you can nip them up. So you'll have two sort of tightening stages. First of all, you'll be compressing that washer, like it's compressing now, you can feel it, and then it will go tight. That's gone tight now, look. And all you want then is a little nip like that, and that's tight enough to do them spark plugs. So I'm going to carry on do the rest of them, and I'll see you in a second. Right, there we go. That's all 4 plugs replaced now. I'm happy with them. And I'm also happy with the colours of the electrodes there that have been on the existing plugs. So I can see that everything seems to be running all right there, like a biscuity brown. So I'm happy that everything seems to be right in the combustion chamber. And bearing in mind, I've got a running issue where the engine feels a bit woolly on this. So that's at least one thing I can eliminate now, that the air mixture seems to be pretty much okay. So I'm just going to put this cover back on now, and also put the coil pack back on, and I'll see you in a second. So I'm just making sure on the end of the coil packs, on the plug ends of it, that everything's all clean there. And as you can see, it's a one-piece coil pack on these. So if you get an ignition problem come up, you have to change the whole thing. So we just drop them back into there like that. And then just gently sort of rock it side to side, push it down, and they'll all connect until they bottom out. There we go. Let's drop these screws back in. Just snip them E10s up. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. There we go. Push our connector back in there. There we go, make sure it clicks in. We need to take that off again to refit our cover. There we go, put that back on. And replace them. There we go, job done. Just have a little check over to make sure we haven't missed anything. It doesn't look like it. The sump plug's back in, as I said to you. Right, so what I'm going to do now then, just start the car up. Again, let the oil pressure build up till we get the oil light go out, and then we should be okay. Right, that's it, folks. Engine's purring like a kitten. And we've also done another few jobs. We've done the pollen filter in a previous video. I've got a separate video for that. I'll put a card up in that corner there if you want to go for that one. And we're going to be doing some other work on here because, as I say, there is some running issues with this car. It's running a bit woolly. So one of the next things I'm going to be changing as a service item, but not in this video, is the fuel filter. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm just going to top this up now, up to its right level, and then that's the job finished. Right, just recheck your oil level again, once it's been running for a bit. In, back up there, and yes, we're right on the money. I don't know if you can see that. It's right on the mark there where we need to be. So the top mark and bottom mark there, the difference between the two is 1 litre. So every one of them little increments is 0.25 of a litre. There you go. Have a little check around your oil filter just to make sure there's no seepage coming from there, and also check your sump plug as well to make sure you've got no seepage coming from there, and then that's the job done. So if you do like this video, do check out my other Astra playlists, Mark IV playlist. I've got plenty of other car videos there in the Vauxhall Rangers and Fords as well, and also plenty of other stuff you might be interested as well. So don't forget, hit the subscribe button if you do like my videos, and ring the little notification bell, and set your preferences to all. That way you'll get notified next time I upload a video. I'll be doing a series on this, so do check out that playlist as well. Thanks very much. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, bye for now.